Thank you everyone for joining this talk. You must be wondering what is widening the Ferris net mean. I am Rohit Dandamundi, like Ernest mentioned. This is going to be talk about how communities outside the traditional hotspots of Rust communities, such as North America and Western Europe, are kind of growing, and how they can be involved and what's going in the rest of the world, I guess. So before diving in, the big disclaimer is this talk is super limited to my insights and analysis that I've done, being on the ground in India, kind of working in building the Rust community and talking to different people around the world. So if you have different opinions, it's completely fine. And yeah, about me, I'm one of the community leads of Rust India. I worked with the Rust Foundation as a foundation fellow for the last 2 years. And I also worked for a bunch of open source communities for a while now. And yeah, currently I'm pursuing my master's here at Canada at UBC in the West Coast, analyzing open source communities and kind of doing that. That's where I'm at. Yeah. So why should one even care about like communities, right? Things are going pretty fine right now. There's super cool Rust conference, there's Eurorust, there's a lot of community things that are happening right now. And things are going pretty fine. The community is growing super rapidly, and the adoption is going fine. But I think there are a bunch of reasons why it can be better, and why should one care who's in the community. First, Rust is a global language like any programming language. People are using it all around the world, and the contributors in the community should kind of represent everybody and not really certain regions in the world. And second thing is, this is a small screenshot from GitHub survey data where it shows the projections of upcoming communities based on their annual survey that they take from developers who contribute to open source. And as you can see, the traditional powerhouses or like communities that contribute, such as USA, United Kingdom, Germany, are kind of in the decline right now. And the upcoming communities that going on the largest communities right now are in the east and the south, such as Japan, Brazil, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, and all these are kind of up-and-coming communities right now. And capturing these communities while they're growing, I think, is pretty crucial. It might even lead to long-term contributors to the project and kind of improves the whole ecosystem. And it also, I think, is incentivized for the companies to do this, I think, because they have a bigger hiring pool all around the world. And this kind of creates more job opportunities for everyone around the world and basically leads to more adoption. So it's like a cycle. And the last thing is it basically foundationally aligns with Rust ethos of empowering everybody around the world, not really certain people around the world. So I think these are a bunch of reasons why one should care about communities outside traditional regions right now. So I was pretty curious, and the first place to look at least, is people who cared enough about community to answer the Rust annual survey, I think. That's where we see like where is the demographic distribution right now and understand who are kind of interested in Rust. Obviously, United States, Germany, and these are in the top. But as you can see, it's a pretty colorful graph, and people from all around the world are kind of contributing, like cared enough to answer the survey. And other thing about community is like where conferences happen, right? Conferences usually happen where people are taking part in it. And all the conferences right now, at least the most popular ones that happen, are in the North America, like RustConf, or in the Western Europe, like Eurorust or other things like that. And these are not really accessible to rest of the world, right? Like, for example, I'm lucky to be in Canada right now, and that's why I was able to attend RustConf. If it happened in the US, I probably wouldn't be able to go. And if I was in India, it's like a 24 or 32 hours flight. And I think it's similar to other people around the rest of the world. It's like a lot of barriers happen, and they can't really come in person and talk. But as you can see, the contributors and the community is kind of here. It makes sense to conduct the conferences here. These are logistic issues that can't be taken care of by individuals. But I will talk about more about that. The community distribution is one thing, but I wanted to be more specific and see contributor distribution, like who is actually contributing to the Rust project, right? The data is out there in GitHub. Everybody can see it. So I was just curious. I just took GitHub data of Rust project about its commits history, its pull request data and everything. I kind of filtered it out to top 500 contributors just to see like who are these 500 top contributors throughout the Rust project to see where they're from and everything. And usually it's not perfect, but you can get the location details or like their demographic details from their GitHub profile as well. So basically I took all that and I built a social graph to see how they're connected and how they're collaborating amongst themselves. So the first one is this graph. It's a very naive one. I hope you can see it. So it's a social graph, social network graph, where each node is a user who contributes to the Rust project, and the edge between them is a pull request, showing some kind of connection between them. And I've also kind of segregated the nodes into 3 categories, where red means they have a high number of commits to the project, blue means they have about medium, and green means low. And green, I at least translated to beginners or newcomers to the project, and just wanted to see based on their location data. As you can see, United States, like Germany pop up a bunch of time in the graph. And the red ones, and mostly it's like Western-centric kind of contributors as well. And there are some nodes here and there where people from outside these traditional backgrounds kind of pop up. I took it a step further and kind of built a sub-community using a community detection algorithm to see like, are United States people kind of collaborating amongst themselves, or like are Germany people kind of collaborating amongst themselves? That's not really the case, right? Rust people are super open to collaboration, and that's how the projects are built. They are already distributed and they collaborate amongst themselves. And that's what I see here as well. So why aren't the rest of the world not contributing to the project? Are they not interested in the project? Do they not use the language? Like, what's the case, right? There should be some reason why they're not contributing and not part of the community. So what's the case with the rest of the world? I can tell at least my personal first-hand experience being part of Rust India. It started around in 2017 and almost died during the COVID lockdown phase when people were not showing up and there were not a lot of resources to come and join community events. I and a bunch of people kind of took ownership of it, and we built the community when I learned Rust in the first time in 2021. We kind of came together and thought, okay, let's build something new, right? Things are kind of going down. But Rust itself was having super growth in 2021 to now. So, so we thought, like, let's just form a community. So now we are like 7 super active communities that are distributed all across India. And they are kind of, at this point, autonomous. Like, in the beginning, we were like pressuring people to like, hey, let's come under one banner and kind of organize events together. But now they're like doing their own thing. Nobody talks to them or tells them to do what to do or how to do. And this also helped like in a bunch of ways how communities are formed, right? For example, it kind of led to a competition as well. All these communities are distributed in India, and they see like some region in India, they're organizing some events, and they feel like, okay, we should also do this now. And it just organically creates more events. And also, other good thing is they also have like a shared resources that they can use, like companies or speakers or anything like that. They can share among all these communities, which was super useful when somebody was looking for a location or like swag or something like that to include more people. And these are the few things that led to the current Rust India. And just an example about is this. From last 1 year, there are like 34 events physically happened in India, not really virtual. And these are all the communities and super awesome, passionate people who are leading them on their own and kind of organizing them on the ground. And that was super cool, at least according to me. Like when I was in 2021, there was one community and one event happening, and now it's like 34 events happening. And I would like to speak like few highlights about this and how, at least how these events can be made better. Events are organized all around the world, but what's so special like about these events? I think the first one was having an international collaboration with people from Rust London with support from Rust Foundation, where we got speakers from Rust London who kind of speak in a virtual mode, but people in India kind of come together and attend this event in person. This was like a hybrid event. And this led to, I think, two things. First thing was, there are a bunch of virtual conferences. Like RustConf can be virtual. Literally, people can attend from all around the world. But there's no physical space where people can come and meet like-minded people from all around the world. It's just a Discord server, and not much discussion happens in Discord server. And that's one thing. And second thing was, it just broke the isolated shell that Rust India community was in. Like, people are doing a bunch of things, but nobody really knew what is happening. And at least having Rust London is like a more established community, and just having this collaboration shows that there are communities outside that are willing to collaborate and kind of form new connections than they were already present. And then other one, at least interesting to me, was like Rust Adoption and Enterprise Conference that happened in India, where people from a bunch of different companies ranging from small startups to like super huge unicorn companies kind of coming and talking how they use Rust in their production code. This kind of motivated other companies and kind of individuals and managers like whatnot to place their hopes in on Rust, and this led to more adoption. This was not happened before, and after this, like a lot of companies took more Rust more seriously, and now there are more companies that are using Rust in India. The last one was the most recent collaboration. This was outside the private sector. This is more like a public infrastructure collaboration that happened recently, where a organization which builds public infrastructure like UPI or like identifications or something like that, they wanted to start initial discussions with Rust communities to see how Rust can be used to build public infrastructure that benefits everyone in India, not just really startups or commercial entities. And this was another interesting collab from the community side that I've seen. And before showing all these companies, I'm not really associated with any one of these. It's just that all this led to companies kind of taking ownership of few of the meetup groups in India. So they paid for the swag, the meetup subscription, the physical space. They just gave away the physical space for events, and they basically run the events. They don't have to, but they believe in Rust enough that they place their bets and their company resources to just run these events on their own, because someone has to spend their time and money on this. And other interesting things were like the diversity of companies that are using. These are all in different fields in India, like starting from dev tooling to financial transactions to consulting firms to electronic vehicles. A bunch of companies are kind of adopting Rust right now, and they're hiring developers in India who have good Rust skills. So all these community things led to this company adoption, and now there's like a more job market than there was before. So this was about Rust India, at least my first-hand experience. There are, of course, like lot of cool communities that are upcoming right now. And they're all at least doing one unique thing that I think is good to point out. So let's go there. First thing is Rust Nigeria. This is another upcoming community where it's happening in Nigeria. And one good thing I saw is that we all know about This Week in Rust, right? And nobody really does apart from that. There's no newsletter apart from This Week in Rust. But they took it upon themselves to kind of have their local newsletter where they are consistently publishing at least one issue per month to kind of talk about local-grown blogs or kind of local-grown like Rust-related events and something like that. And it also led to like expanding to multiple cities in Nigeria now, and it's really cool. Like I haven't seen any communities like having their own Rust newsletters so far. And second one is Rust Japan. Here there are like multiple communities here. I met the lead recently there, and they have their own global conference, mostly in Japanese, to kind of promote people who are using Rust locally in Japan. And they also welcome like collaborators from all around the world, but it's just not as popular as other mainstream conferences that we see so far. And the next one is Rust Ukraine. I think they also have their conference that they do annually. The interesting part that I have seen here is that they have satellite locations in different parts of Europe, like in Germany, where people can come in a group, like similar to the Rust collab that I talked, where people come in person and kind of meet together and attend this virtual conference from somewhere. I think this is a really cool thing on top of like Discord servers that I mentioned before. I haven't seen any conferences like actually implementing this. So that was another cool thing. And the last one is, it's a really big community. It's the Hispanic Rust community. They kind of translated the whole Rust book into Spanish, and they now have their very strong Discord server where they basically use Spanish as their first language, and yeah, do more collaboration in Rust. And this just shows like people can do like Rust outside English and the mainstream languages or communities that we have seen so far. So I talked a bunch about communities and how they're doing so far and what they have been doing. Of course, like I told why communities are, at least they're doing a lot of things so far, but there are a lot of barriers or issues that I have at least seen. Me being in India and talking to a lot of people around the world for why they're not contributing to the project, or like why they're not contributing to the community. And a bunch of these are like, first thing is lack of visibility itself. There's a small screenshot, if you can't see in the top right, where it's just a forum, a survey where people asked, someone asked like, how many of you see Rust Zulip, right? Like Zulip server. Nobody, like 75% told nobody really sees Rust Zulip. But that's where all the very impactful community decisions kind of happen. And all these people who these decisions have an impact on don't really have a voice or don't really see anything that is happening in this decision-making process or work that is being done. There are opportunities as well, but they don't really see this because of lack of visibility. And again, the next thing is lack of diversity, I think. At least in Rust India that I've seen, even though it's an upcoming community, majority of the contributors or like in the community are like cis males. Like that's pretty obvious from talking to a lot of communities. And the current status quo and the upcoming communities having this trend is, I think, a bad sign of there's a lack of diversity, and there should be more visible and kind of initiatives taken that encourages people from all backgrounds to kind of take part in community, or at least encourage them to kind of be more visible. And the third thing is collaboration, like I mentioned. It is, I think, I mentioned Rust India is like doing their own thing, and I think a lot of communities are there doing their own thing, and everybody is pretty isolated and doing their own thing. So basically there's no collaboration among communities and among people across different parts of the world, I think. And the last one is support when someone is getting started. Like what kind of name they have to put on their community. Is there any problems with that? Or whom should they contact with it? Is there a website where they can share the resources? Or are there any speakers from all around the world that are willing to come and collaborate? These are a bunch of things that can be like readily available when somebody is looking to start their own community, right? They don't have to figure that out like on their own. And this is how I think most communities died before they even get started. And other things is that there is organizational issues, like lack of structure right now. When I started Rust India community, like I was like basically DMing like 100 different people asking, hey, am I like doing something work that has already been done, or like where should I start? Basically using a lot of back channel communication, and this shouldn't be the issue, right? Like there should be like transparent and public structures where people can just come and ask questions and kind of get them started. And a lot of resources that started a long time ago were kind of unmaintained now, and the kind of like are in a stale position, and not much contributions are going to it, I think. And also the other thing is project itself has a good collaboration, Rust Zulip server or GitHub issues or something, but there's not really a community unified presence anywhere where people can just come and share their work that have been done. Like sure, people can post on Twitter or other places, but there's no unified place where all the communities are kind of sharing things. And of course, all these things, right, there's huge growth that Rust is experiencing right now that I mentioned, and huge burnout problem as well that people have been doing. This is not because Rust project doesn't like collaboration or like doesn't like new communities. People have been doing this for a while now, and it's just a lot of work by itself. So that's really important to kind of mention first. And yeah. like initiatives are being taken. It's not like it's all doom and gloom. Like there are initiatives taken. Like Rust Foundation has its fellowship program, compute resources, hardships, grants, and things like that to help people in the community who are contributing. And recently, Rust Project got involved in GSOC 2024, where they give mentorship to people who wants to contribute to the project. And also they get feedback from the community, right? Like the annual survey that everybody writes. And I also seen internal leadership council surveys and things like that happening. And these are the few initiatives that are being taken right now. So what can we do that is better than this? So what can be done that is better? Like first and most important, I think everybody can agree, is revamping the whole community experience right now. It's structured channels of communication, not really placing these responsibilities on a particular individual, but basically making it more structured and kind of more transparent so that people just find it easy to get started and be involved in the community. And there were like cool initiatives that I saw when I was kind of looking online, like Rust Bridge program and like awesome Rust mentors. These are really cool programs that should be maintained or at least taken more seriously, and understand where time and money should be spent. Like we have the time and money both are crucial, so understanding where they should be spent and how they should be spent is crucial. This can be done through like the annual surveys kind of, or more surveys to kind of see if there are any issues that people are facing particularly, and kind of getting more details, such as is there any funding issue happening right now? Is there any collaboration issue happening right now? And the third point is being more transparent, like sharing the information outside Rust or like somewhere where people actually see and kind of have more timeline for it, and get feedback again through an iterative process. And I think the fourth one is really important, at least. Communities are growing, but they're doing it as a consumption more than contribution mindset. Like people are using Rust and they're using it in their company, and it's fine. Like, and people are in the West are kind of building these projects and they're facing burnouts. And the upcoming communities are like basically consuming it, and they're asking for more and more things from people who are contributing to the project. So growing communities towards like contributing to the project and having more structures of communication will be very useful, I think. Right now, at least in India, there's all the talks right now are like basically how people can use Rust in their companies or in their production code or something like that. And other part is like, it's again, recognition is basically incentivizing people to contribute to the project, like somehow like a shout out or like a swag. This was discussed in Zulip server before, and basically appreciating people for the work they have been doing and kind of incentivizing them to do more work. These are few things that at least I thought of from my experience. Community is such a broad thing that it's pretty much, there's no silver bullet to solve this problem. That's all I could say. So what do you think can be done? This talk is mostly like a dialogue starter to kind of get the conversation going and see how we as a community whole can approach this and solve this issue. Not really me complaining and telling, hey, you should do this, this, this. So that's it from me, and thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, please ask me on the Discord server or here in the conference. And thanks again.
Thank you very much, Rohit. Thank you. And it's a very important thing that you're speaking about. It's very dear to my heart. It's something that I'm literally working on with the foundation now. So it's a great, great, great thing that you're sharing all of this. So please give him another hand, another massive hand. Thank you.